Good evening, Bright Hearts.
Good evening.
How are you guys doing? How's the? What are your New Year resolutions?
Yet to decide.
Yet to decide. Okay, that's great. I am Priyansh Tripathi, and I am the SA for the 62nd meeting of Bright Hearts Toastmasters. Toastmaster International is a non-profit organization which helps you build public speaking skills, impromptu speaking skills, and you get a feedback in a supportive environment. Founded in 1924 with over 270,000 members spread across 148 plus countries. In our usual meeting, we follow few of the ground rules, but today we are not having a usual meeting. We are having an educational session hosted by our very own Akshay Abraham Mohan. So, if you guys are looking to level up your evaluation skills, impromptu speaking skills, today is the day. Take out your notebooks, have that learning thing, and you will have a great session today. In our usual way, today we have few of the ground rules. Please switch off your mobile phone or put them in silent mode. I'll give you 20 seconds to do that. Please do not cross talk while the speaker speaking on stage. Please be mindful when talking about sex, religion, or politics because these are sensitive topics. Please do not move inside the hall or enter or exit the hall. If you wish to do so only during the applause. Restrooms are available. They are on the first floor. Just climb up the stairs or you can take the lift. Take the left, walk down the alley, again take the left, walk down the alley. In the end, you'll find the restrooms. Refreshments will be available at the time of break. Now it's time to introduce presiding officer of the day. The person who is an AI developer who is so much into AI that when he sends his email, he sends with a description written by human. Our very own Toastmaster, current VP, Associate VP membership, Sayuj Varghese.
Thank you, Toastmaster Priyansh. Good evening, Bright Hearts. How's the Josh?
Hi.
Great. So welcome to the 62nd meeting of Bright Hearts Toastmasters. And as Priyansh mentioned, it's going to be a special meeting. But it is also the last meeting of 2025. So let's do a review. How many of you have met your goals for this year? Okay, so who wants to tell what goal they met?
I wanted to start attending dance workshops, so I have attended 5 workshops now.
Great. Anyone else?
I have a reading goal every year, so I met my reading goals for 2025.
Great. So I also had a reading goal. I exceeded it. I had 5 books in mind, 5 books to read, and I read 10. So that's a great achievement. And how many of you have made goals for 2026?
In progress.
Okay, great. I don't make goals for 2026 because as I go along, I make the goals and try to fit a timeline that I can meet the goals. So for me, start of a new year is just a start of a new beginning, but not really a place where I can make goals. So with that, we will ask one of our guests, not really a guest, but we'll have Srinath. Can you come on stage and introduce yourself and tell us your goals? Srinath. 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 Srinath.
Hey, hi everyone. Myself Srinath and goals for 2026. Okay? Yeah, so my goals for 2026 will be there are 2 to 3 goals. First one, to overcome public speaking. So whenever I met people, they thought I have a bit of attitude, but in reality, I fear of talking with people. I can't I got a fear when I see 3 to 4 people in front of me. So this is the first thing I want to overcome. Then second thing, I have put on 10 kilo in this 1.5 month because I went back to my home. So I want to reduce that. And third one, it's a bit technical. So technical things I want to learn. So I want to learn that thing also. Yep, that's all.
Thank you, Srinath, and I hope that 2026 all your goals are met. So with that, I would open the meeting. I'll declare the meeting 62 open. So now a little bit about Bright Hearts. So Bright Hearts Toastmasters started a year ago, and last year we achieved the highest award awarded to a club, which is the President Distinguished Award. And then Toastmaster decided, let's make it a little more tough this year. Okay, they said, get 10 points and you'll get this Medley Distinguished Awards. And guess what? We're just 2 more points away from that. And we are on track to maybe become one of the first clubs to get Medley Distinguished Awards. So now today's theme is ho 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 on your skills. Now that is great because the start of the year is always contest heavy, and we all Bright Hearts have to be geared for the contest. And what a better way to gear up for that than learning how to take part in contest, what are the skills that is required, and what skills to hone. And to help you do that is none other than a person who is a Toastmaster for 8 years, who is avid runner, reader, who has his own book club called the Humble Bumble Book Club, which is one of the fastest growing book clubs in Bangalore with around 40 members. He also plays video games, runs and builds body, and if you want to see his body more closely, come to Crescendo and on the beaches of Kochi. So, and how is he qualified to take the session today? He has won numerous awards, and I just couldn't capture all that in my brains. So he is a 9-time finalist, 7-time podium finisher, 3-time champion, and most notably, he is the 2024 International Speech Contest Champion of District 121, and in 2022 and 2023, the Speech Evaluation Champion of District 121. And he holds the most number of district contest titles in the history of District 121, which is 6. So please welcome our co-founder of Bright Hearts, Toastmaster Akshay. Akshay, 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 Akshay.
Thank you. Oops, my goodness. What was it? Sorry, just getting a message out. Okay. Put my phone on silent. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. How's everyone feeling? Amazing and great. Today's meeting has been specially thought out by Arundhati and I. We are fully aware what the last meeting of the year in Toastmasters looks like across all clubs. So we decided to play it smart. We are not going to have a regular meeting today with speeches and with the regular agenda. Rather, we have decided that for all the members who are in attendance today, each and every one of you, including the guests as well, are going to get a rigorous practice session on both table topics and evaluation for the next 3 hours. And I guarantee you by the end of it, each and every one of you are going to come out as stronger evaluators and stronger speakers. I don't mean this as a hyperbole, I don't mean this as an exaggeration, but when I spoke to Arundhati about today's meeting, I told her this is the one meeting I am looking forward to the most this year, because for the first time in the long time, even I'm going to get to sit, do table topics, practice evaluations in a nice environment. And the best part is, because of the attendance, most of us are going to be coming on stage multiple times, right? So make the most of today's session. There's going to be very minimal talk from me. I'm going to keep it as minimal as possible. We're going to start off with speech evaluations. May I request all the members to please open up your phones for Srinath. Sayuj, can you please forward the message to him? I want you all to start by looking at the first document called International Speech Contest Judging Ballot. International Speech Contest Judging Ballot. May I request Priyansh to please open up the ISE judging ballot on the screen as well. For those who just entered, you can open up the link titled International Speech Contest Judging Ballot, which is shared on the Bright Hearts Toastmasters group. Okay. Now, may I request all of us to break into small focus groups? I see there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and a half people here. Can we have this section of Mani, Elango, Priyansh sit together? So, may both of you come and sit with the SAA. Sayuj, Manjarika, Sangam, can you sit together as well? So, Sangam, can you occupy a front seat? Madhur, Twinshu, Teju, you're fine. And Srinath, you can join this group. Okay? Now, what are we looking at here? To begin with, the International Speech Contest, for those of you who don't know, is a speech contest in Toastmasters. It runs every year. There are close to 50,000 participants. The contests start at a club level from January, February onwards across the world, across all the 14,000 clubs, and it ends in August at the World Championship of Public Speaking. The main reason I want all of you to read this document right now is because I want each of you to understand the different criteria on which a speech can be evaluated. How many of you have ever felt that when you're watching a speech, after it's done, you think to yourself, oh, I don't know what to evaluate. There is no area of improvement. I have felt that way. You have felt that way. Whenever people ask me this question of, Akshay, why am I feeling like I'm not getting there any areas of improvement? I simply say it's because you're not evaluating the speech on enough dimensions. In this document here, you are going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 dimensions on which you are going to be evaluating all the speeches today. Okay? So, may I request each of you within your groups to start reading each one by one, discuss it amongst yourselves, and within that document, if you can scroll down, Priyansh, if any of them feel unclear, scroll down. The description of each category, each of the 8 categories is present. Okay? So, let's give 2 minutes for each of you, or rather all of the groups, to discuss the judging ballot, after which we will open it up to a bit of a discussion. Usha and Madhur, can you break into a separate group this side? So Usha, as you just joined, we have a document present in the Bright Hearts Toastmasters group. We are going to be understanding the 8 different criteria on which we are going to be evaluating today's speeches. I'm going to give this 3 minutes. Can you join this group, Usha's group? So we are understanding the 8 different criteria on which a speech can be evaluated by studying the ISE judging ballot. So each group has been tasked to understand all of these 8 different criteria. We have about 1 minute remaining. Let's give it 30 more seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So let's start by having any volunteer from any of the 4 teams describe what is their understanding of speech development. Would anyone like to volunteer and tell us what according to them is their understanding of speech development? Yes, Manjarika.
Speech development is about the structure of the speech, which means how their opening body and the conclusion. And
Could you start from the beginning?
Yeah, speech development is about how the speaker is structuring their speech, about how the opening body and conclusion is constructed, and it should be in a way that the speaker is able to attract the audience attention and also concludes with a proper conclusion.
Understood. Okay. So what does the structure comprise of?
Opening body and conclusion.
Okay. What is the difference between structure and organization of a speech? Anyone can volunteer, by the way. It doesn't have to be just you. Anyone can volunteer. Yes, Saij.
So structure is basically opening body and the conclusion. Organization is how does the idea flow within
Yeah.
those within that structure.
Fair enough, right? I think organization can usually be best assessed by how the stories are arranged. At least that's how I like to see it. How are the anecdotes arranged and where are the messages coming in? Every speech comprises of 2 major sections, stories followed by the speaker's personal message, right? So I always like to see where are the questions, where are the messages, where are the stories. Can somebody tell me what is support material from this side? What is support material in a speech? Yes, Elango.
The support material is nothing but which is connected to that speech, maybe the material which they are expressing, which will be helpful to express that thought during that materials. That is what the supporting material.
You said the support material is that is something that's connected to the speech.
Yeah.
Not necessarily that. Every speech has a dash. What is the dash?
Purpose.
Purpose, right?
Related
And a
to the
support
purpose.
material is meant to
Purpose.
complement that purpose,
Purpose.
right? So that's very important to keep in mind. Every speech has been designed with a singular purpose, sometimes multiple purposes, and the support material is meant to contribute to that specific purpose.
Yeah.
Okay? So this is the speech development, which generally has about 15 points out of 100 in the ISE judging ballot. Let's now go to effectiveness. Can I have either this back row team or this back row team, somebody volunteer on telling me what is effectiveness of a speech? Yes, Usha, whose hair looks stunning, by the way.
I just had a haircut
Somebody
today.
had a haircut.
Yeah, effectiveness is talks about how
No,
clearly.
no, don't read it. You tell me your understanding of it. What is your understanding of effectiveness?
It talks. I think effectiveness is about how effective your speech is demonstrating the purpose or the conveying the message, that is effectiveness.
Fair enough. So
Logic.
effectiveness is how well you can put your purpose across. Let's put it that way. The ballot has 4 great questions. Did anyone get a chance to see those 4 questions on which a purpose is evaluated? Can somebody read the effectiveness section, the subsection written down? Maybe Srinath, if you want to give it a go. Do you have the link as well? So for effectiveness, on the second page, there's some content written. Could you read that aloud for everyone?
Effectiveness is measured in part by audience reception of speech, but a large part of which your subjective judgment of how the speech came across. You should ask yourself such question: was I able to determine the speaker's purpose? Did the speech relate directly to that purpose? Was the audience's interest held by the speaker? Was this subject appropriate for this particular audience?
Excellent. Thank you so much, Srinath. So the 4 fundamental questions you ask yourself before you start evaluating any speech are these 4 questions which are mentioned in the ballot. Were you able to understand the speaker's purpose? This is the first question you ask yourself once the speech is done. What is the question? Were you able to understand the speaker's purpose? What is the second question? Did the speech tie to that purpose? Did the speech tie to that purpose? What is the third question? Very simple. Was I interested? Was I interested as an audience? As an evaluator, the first person's interest that you have to assess is your interest. Assess your interest in the speech first, and throughout the course of your evaluation, you can always get a sense of how the audience is reacting, but it is your interest that comes first. Were you interested by the speaker's speech? Finally, what is the last question?
Was the speech subject appropriate for this particular audience?
Was the Manjarika, can you say that? Was the speech subject appropriate for this particular audience? What does that mean? Can somebody elaborate on what does it mean for a subject to be appropriate to an audience with an example? Yes, to ensure.
Let's say audience can relate to it. If I am speaking about technological thing, let's say AWS, audience could not relate or understand what actually I mean to say.
Yes.
That doesn't define the purpose for that audience.
Excellent. Excellent. Very well done. Basically, the idea of knowing your audience before you come with a speech plan is very important, right? And that was a great example as well. If I come here or if he comes here and talks about AWS, it's not necessary that everyone relate. But if it's a simple love story, or if it's a story about your father or your mother, it's very likely you'll be able to relate more. Okay? Effectiveness has a score of 10 on the ballot. Now we come to speech value, which has the highest weightage out of any category in a ballot. Now I want somebody who hasn't spoken yet to tell me what is speech value and why do they think it's so important? What is speech value and why do you think it is so important? Any volunteer? Yes, Madhur.
So, speech value is something that overall value that I have delivered through my speech, which includes the original thought behind the whole purpose of the speech and the ideas that I end up making, like what was the thoughts, what is the takeaway from my speech. Those are, according to me, is the speech value that I deliver through my speech.
Okay. May I ask, why do you think something like speech value has 25 points of weightage compared to, say, something like voice, something like physical? Why does it carry such a high score?
Because speech value is something that can define my whole speech in 2 or 3 sentences, which is the whole takeaway for all the audience. So whatever I delivered can be defined through that values, through those words. That's why speech value has highest weightage, because it defines or concludes my whole speech.
Okay. It sounds like you're talking more about purpose here. So it's a little ambiguous. Yes, Usha, do you want to give it a go? Why is speech value so important in a speech?
See, when you come, I mean, this is my personal thought. When you come onto the stage, you get the podium to deliver a message. So if you can contribute something by delivering a message to the audience, which is meaningful and worthful of their time and effort, so I think that is the reason why the content, it's all about the content, and so it's tied up to the content of the speech, I believe. The content matters.
Fair enough. Definitely, that I agree with that. Yes.
Adding on to it further, like both of them are valid. Just on top of that, how much of it translates to the audience? You came and you delivered a message. How much of it was meaningful enough for the audience to bring in their actions, right? That's again, that defines speech value. And to your question about the highest scoring, it's because it's original thinking in any part of art, whether it's cinema, books, or anything, where you're putting in something different, something refreshing. Like, let's say it's a simple message, but you deliver it, you created a story about it differently to land that message differently and effectively to the audience. That's what. That's why it's the most.
Fair enough. Fair enough. How many of you have seen Barbie, the movie Barbie? How many of you have seen Oppenheimer? How many of you have seen both? Barbie and Oppenheimer. There's only one person who's seen both. How many of you have seen Dilwale Dulhania Le Jayenge? Okay. Did that movie give you value? No. Why not, Twinshu? No. Yes, I'm accepting any answer. You said yes? Okay, and you said no. So, Twinshu, tell us why Dilwale Dulhania Le Jayenge did not add value.
To be honest, I forgot what was the story.
Okay.
Even I watched it fully or not.
Okay. So, then your opinion is it who remembers the movie and still says that Dilwale Dulhania Le Jayenge has no value? See, remember, at the end of the day, there's no right answer. It is your opinion and it is okay to say no. But it is very important that you have a opinion. If you have no opinion, you are just a wall, right? How many of you have seen Dilwale? All of you had raised your hands and now suddenly no one's raising. Okay. Did it have value? Yes or no? Even if it had a small boost to something inside, it had value. So, Tripti, why don't you start? Okay, actually, anyone else has the same point that it added value?
Yes.
Okay, so Saij, why don't you start by telling us why does Dilwale Dulhania Le Jayenge have value for you?
There's value because it was an entertainment. So we had those 3 hours. How do you spend it? This was an option to do it, and you've enjoyed your time. And then you could hear music, you could calm yourself down. So those are the values. Movie-wise, it was absolute crap, but the value that you
I
see.
want to stop you right there. Is entertainment value?
Yes.
Why is entertainment value?
Because that's how, for you, that is what is value.
Outside of the 3 hours runtime of the movie where you laughed, you cried, you enjoyed the music, how did Dilwale Dulhania Le Jayenge change your life or adapt your way of thinking?
It didn't, but it wasn't a direct impact. It was an indirect impact because that 3 hours, maybe I was.
Outside of the 3 hours,
yes.
How has Dilwale changed your life?
Before those 3 hours, maybe I was in a different state of mind where maybe stressed, and that calmed me down. Saw a different perspective, and then you could hum the music when you are low or things like that. So those are indirect. I used to, and I had a girlfriend that time, so so those are the things. So those are the moments that you would. So it's not a direct value saying this, but there's an indirect value where you feel good.
Okay, all right. Who else? Yes, Usha. Yes or no? First of all, Dilwale Dulhania.
Yes, it added value. Just relating to the entire movie, right? It like made me dream of a foreign country. I saw great landscape, great destination. I thought, yes, I have to be here once in my lifetime. So it gave me some travel goals. Second, it gave a message saying that, it's always good to have acceptance of your family when you want to be involved with a person. That was the message that was conveyed. Like, So that came up as a message to the society that, you know, you are in love with someone, okay, fine, but then you also need to convince your parents because they also have that much of...
But doesn't the movie in the end tell you that you don't actually have to get their acceptance?
Yeah, that's something, one social message was there. I felt like that. I personally felt, maybe I may be wrong, I may be... That is what I felt. So that was the value.
I like Usha's point. So now when Usha described her perspective of value, it sounded a lot more concrete to me, right? Personally for me and in general, when the concept of speech value is assessed in Toastmasters, it is not assessed on the basis of laughs or entertainment. It is assessed on the basis of what are the questions that are left in your mind after the speech is done. For example, Usha thought about maybe aspiring to be in that foreign country. Was it Switzerland? Was it Sweden? I have no clue. Usha thought about familial constructs, how sometimes when it comes to love, a family can either enable it or disable it. It depends on which family you're part of, right? When you have your audience members thinking about such deep, profound questions, right? How many ever, whether it's 1 or 5 or 10, that's when you have a value in your speech. Okay? So very important to keep that in mind. While Sayuj did describe entertainment as his form of value, in general, value is not assessed in the form of laughs. Value is assessed in the form of thoughts. Not how much your laughter is working, how much your brain is working. This is where value comes from. So all these three as a whole, speech development, effectiveness and speech value, have 50 points of weightage, right? And aside from that, we'll quickly go through the others because they are pretty straightforward. Can somebody tell me what is physical? Yes, Teju.
Physical is nothing but the body language and the gestures
Okay.
support whatever content you are speaking.
Okay.
For example, if you are telling some sad story, like your gestures and expression should support that.
Right.
Otherwise, it would be not looking good.
Perfect.
So that's
Excellent. Sounds good. Voice. Anyone from here? Front row. Yes.
So voice is nothing but the volume we speak and the message we deliver and the grammar and the fluency of the speech and the words we pronounce correctly. That's what.
So you're getting more into correctness as well, but what he said first is right. It's just about the voice, right? I could talk in a really high pitch or a low pitch. I could talk very softly or I could talk really loudly. It's all about assessing the voice, everything that comes out of your mouth. Not necessarily grammar. For that, there is a separate section. But you're on the right track. Good. Manner. Who wants to talk about manner next? What is manner? I'm sure there are many evaluators here who have probably not considered this as a separate judging ballot criteria. But what is manner according to you? Yes, Twinshu.
Manner, in my perspective, is how much speaker is on to that speech. I mean, how he is delivering with enthusiasm, or did he actually lived in his mind that the purpose what he or she wants to deliver.
Could you reiterate that? Can you try different?
Let's say I want to deliver a speech which says I got 100 out of 100 marks. If
Correct.
I say it, I got 100 out of 100. This doesn't shows the enthusiasm and doesn't add to that purpose.
Okay.
But if I say in voice and very enthusiastic enjoyment kind of state at that time, it will add more impact to that.
So then what is the difference between manner and voice?
Voice is how that high or low pitch, but in case of manner, that smile, enthusiasm, body language kind of assurance, or how much relatable your speech and your overall body language, in short, each and everything kind of. Yeah.
Can I simplify that for you? Can we surmise or summarize that by saying I can be loud, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm confident?
Yes, possible.
I can also swap that. You can say that my volume might be low, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm not enthusiastic. Is it possible?
Possible.
So you're seeing the distinction, right? Just because your volume, just because your gestures are there, it may not be a direct reflection of confidence. That's where it's very important as an evaluator to tell the difference between these two, manner and voice, right? Yes. So, volume. Just because someone has a high volume doesn't necessarily mean that they are assured of their content, doesn't necessarily mean that they are enthusiastic, right? Not necessarily, right? In the similar way, if someone has a low volume, that doesn't mean that they're not confident. Some people always usually have low volumes when they come on stage, maybe without a mic, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a reflection of their manner, right? So you can, it's very important to know the difference between these two, and we'll get to explore these more as we start the practical exercises well. Yes?
I also want to add, if that makes sense or not, but let's say what we can say it as a manner, like audience can relate. I mean, live that speech if it has manner, that speech has manner.
So we do have appropriateness, which may involve more of audience related parameters when it comes to a speech, right? I would not generally tie an audience's relatability of a speech with manner, right? I would feel that they are two slightly different things.
Not exactly the word relate, but lived the moment, lived the speech. I mean, actually felt how that speaker or when the story goes around, how that speaker or the person or the character feels according to it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
And would you relate that more to the fact that the manner was good, or the fact that the value of the speech provoked thought in the audience?
Somewhere on both makes the difference.
Okay. It depends on the speech, depends on the content. You're right. I think the main point that we're getting out of this is that sometimes there may seem like an ambiguity between the different criteria, but obviously once the speech starts and once we have a speech, it becomes very clear to you whether something is a reflection of excellent speech value or excellent manner. We'll explore this with the exercise as it comes, okay? Let's wrap up with the final two and get into our exercise. What is appropriateness? Yes, Priyansh.
Appropriateness is like basically the words which we choose in our speeches so that the content can be delivered properly and audience can understand that. How appropriate are we choosing the words so that its audience can totally relate to it.
Okay. Makes sense, because sometimes people might come with very fancy language to a room which is full of like HSR Toastmasters, and you have to simplify your language for them, correct? For bright arts, you want like fancier English. Yes, HSR.
HSR, yes.
So sometimes when you have to deliver humor, let's say humorous speech, which is, let's say, the speech purpose, appropriateness in that parameter would be whether or not your speech, the writing, the way it was delivered, match that purpose. When it's motivational, the appropriateness would be, did the entire speech match to the actual purpose? It could be motivational, inspirational, whatever. Like the entire speech should, like you said, there's just one purpose. Are all the elements of a speech at the end of the day aligned to that purpose or not? That's appropriateness, first part. Second, of course, the audience. You can't come in the audience and say any and everything. Of course, the Toastmaster values, sex, religion, politics you can't talk about, but more than that, not very extreme thoughts or ideas. Like something that should be appropriate and acceptable in a fraternity like Toastmasters.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Correctness, the last category, grammar, pronunciation. Yes.
So for an ISC, what is the speech purpose?
For an international speech contest, the purpose is anything that motivates your audience, that inspires your audience, that persuades your audience. Are you getting them to change a certain aspect of their lifestyle? Are you getting them to be more consistent? Are you getting them to be more disciplined? Are you getting them to be happier? Are you getting them to be more appreciative of the things around them, the people around them? How can you add a purpose or have a purpose in your speech which makes the audience think, which makes them go home and say, hey, listen, Sayuj did that one speech and that is motivating me to maybe try this differently. Or Sayuj said that one story and that is motivating me to do this certain thing, right? How can you give that sort of a purpose that will really get the audience listening is what you would usually go for in an international speech contest. Yes? Good question. So, first of all, let's understand that the very clear distinction between the international speech contest and the Pathways syllabus. Now, the Pathways syllabus comprises of many projects, each of which have their own specific objectives. It is not necessary that each of these different projects has to have an ISC caliber to it, right? In Pathways, when you're attempting certain projects, it's very important that you first and foremost adhere to the project's objectives. In the process, if you feel you can add a purpose which inspires the audience, well and good. In fact, there are certain Pathways projects which are directly catered towards inspiring the audience. Inspire your audience, connect with the audience. These are all projects in Pathways level 3, right? So to answer your question, it's not necessary, but there are certain projects which mandate you do that, right? So for example, if you're doing Introduction to Toastmasters Mentoring or Introduction to Toastmasters Communication, which are 2 level 2 projects, it's not necessary that you add immense value for the audience, because the first and foremost thing is you have to satisfy your objectives. Make sense?
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Finally, correctness, grammar, pronunciation, word selection. Anyone would like to sum this up? Akash, what are your thoughts on the final category? Yeah. The most straightforward one, right? Basically, it's an assessment of how well constructed your sentences are there any grammatical errors, mispronunciations, which are actually very common in the Indian Toastmasters circle. It's not necessary that mispronunciations have to be called out in a speech until and unless you feel it's really taking away, but something that is very prevalent is the grammar issues and pronunciation issues, especially here. Great, thank you so much. With that, let's start with our first exercise. I see a group of 3, group of 3, group of 3 and group of 3 here as well. Akash, may I request you to come join Twin Shoes group here. Okay. What we're going to do is Priyansh is now going to play a Toastmaster speech video, and I'm going to want each and every one of you to watch the speech and take down notes. But as always, there's going to be a twist. The first activity we are going to do is going to be team based, which means as a group you are going to be evaluating this one speaker. So how will we split the efforts? In each team, I want all of you internally to decide which of the 8 aspects is going to be evaluated by whom. For example, in the group of Sayuj, Manjarika and Sangam, we could say that Sayuj is going to take care of speech development, effectiveness and speech value. Manjarika, physical, voice and manner, and Sangam, appropriateness and correctness. Okay. So in a similar way, discuss amongst yourselves very quickly, within 1 minute, decide how we are going to split the categories. Okay. My recommendation right off the bat is split content, delivery and language among individual people. For the group of 4, I would recommend give language and delivery to 2 different people, and when it comes to content, the first half can be evaluated by 1 person, and value alone, Srinath, why don't you take care of speech value? Okay. Okay, I'm assuming everyone is sorted. Few more guidelines, if I may have your attention. Few more guidelines. For each aspect that each of you are evaluating, I want you to take down at least 1 highlight and at least 1 area of improvement for each category. At least 1 highlight and at least 1 area of improvement. What does that mean? That means, for example, Manjarika is evaluating physical, voice and manner. Manjarika is to present at least one highlight across these three categories and at least one area of improvement. Okay. My recommendation is if you can do one highlight, one AOI for each one, physical, voice and manner, which comprises to what? 6 points. That would be even better. But at the very least, there should be one. Okay. And when you are presenting your highlights, this is how I would like you to present it. Tell us what the highlight is. Give us an example from the speech where it happened. Tell us why you think it is a highlight. Okay, these three. Tell us what the highlight is, give us an example, and why you think it is a highlight. Okay. For the areas of improvement, same thing, but there's one new criteria. Tell us what the area of improvement is, give us an example, tell us why this is an area of improvement, and provide a recommendation or suggestion. So presentation of highlight and area of improvement is the same. The only difference is for area of improvement, you have to follow it up with a suggestion. This suggestion is your own personal subjective suggestion. It may not be the best, but it is what you think it is the best. Okay? Is that clear? How to present every highlight, every area of improvement? Cool. With that, Priyansh, may I request you to open this thing? You can take a seat in the back, Pooja and Jermaine. If you have sheets of paper, you can take it out. We're going to be evaluating a speech now. Can you play from the very beginning, Priyansh? Not yet, not yet. Just hold on. Okay. We are going to be playing a regular 7-minute speech. After the 7 minutes is done, you will have only 5 minutes to formulate your thoughts, not a second more. As soon as the 5 minutes is up, you need to stop writing. This is important because one of the hallmarks of building an analytical mind is to time bound yourself. If you give yourself 1 hour or 2 hours or 40 minutes, your mind will go on wandering forever. The purpose of giving 5 minutes is for you to train your mind to organize your thoughts quickly. No wasted efforts here. Be quick, make the most of your 5 minutes. Of course, as the speech is going on, take as many notes as possible. My recommendation is use an A4 sheet. Anyone here who is not having an A4 sheet right now? A4 sheet, we have some up front here. In case you don't have an A4 sheet, please take an A4 sheet. My recommendation is keep your notes only within the space of one side of an A4 sheet, not more than that. If your A4 sheet looks half empty, you have not written enough. If it's overflowing, you have written too much. Just one side of a sheet is enough, not more than that. Take note of the things which matter, which are important to your assessment of the speech. Do not write everything down. That is a very important point to keep in mind. As an evaluator, it is your duty to write down things which will contribute to either boosting the morale of the speaker in the form of a highlight or helping the speaker in the form of an area of improvement. But you are not the secretary. You are not writing a minutes of meeting and you're not writing down the entire speech. This is where you have to trust your mind to remember some elements of the speech and use your sheet only for those elements you have to note down, because you cannot afford to mess those up. What are the key things you note down which you cannot mess up? Examples. Examples are the most important thing. Quotes from a speech, specific English words, specific errors in language. These are the important things you need to note down. Plot twists, character development, themes, these are not necessarily things you have to note down. So take a judgment call on what is important and what isn't. Is everybody ready? Yes. Is everybody ready? Yes. 1, 2, 3, Priyansh, let it roll.
child, my mom told my family that I had split personality disorder. She couldn't construe how a talkative child like me, with an untiring exuberance, could be anything close to quiet. Let me take you back to when I was born. Right after my birth, I was put under observation because my throat was clogged with mucus. So much that the milk won't seep in. A pipe was inserted through my throat to eject 2 bottles of mucus out of my 7-pound body. And my mom says that is probably the reason why my voice is coarser than others. I did not realize how different I was from others until I grew up to go to school. And my classmates would make fun of me every time I tried to talk. They would laugh at me. They started to give me names. One of which was a eunuch, which meant a Trotskin. Because I looked like a girl, but sounded like a guy. I tried to join a choir, from which I was kicked out. And I understand, you don't want anybody with my voice singing, Silent Night, Holy Night. My mom thought she was trying to help me by pushing me to take singing lessons. But I hated it. Because no matter how much I tried, my sa-re-ga-ma-pa did not have the rhythm my music teacher expected. My teacher claimed that I screamed too much, which is why my voice was always singing. But don't you get it? This is how it's going to be. This is my voice. This is how I'm going to sound. All right, I sound horrible. I shut up. I won't sing. I won't talk. I'll be as silent as you want me to be. I lost my confidence. I wanted to just disappear in a corner of the room. Do you believe in everything happens for a reason? In my 8th grade, my teacher decided every student in the classroom is going to take turns to give a speech after morning prayer. My turn was to come the following week, and I was petrified. As a 14-year-old, I decided I'm going to do what I can and not worry about my technology. So I started writing my first script, my speech, and I practiced really hard. And on the day, I went up to the front of the school, held the mic with my sweaty palm, felt the stiffness at the back of my spine, and looked up to the audience and said, "Good morning," with my loud and crisp voice, and gave my first ever speech, which was titled, "Cleanliness is next to godliness." And I remember I did not forget a word. After I said, "Thank you," I heard claps, loud claps. There, right there, that very moment was the birth of my self-confidence. It was a realization that I have a voice. I wonder if those people know how they contributed in boosting my confidence. By my 9th grade, I started participating in group discussions and debates, and often got compliments for how strongly my voice projected. The same voice that irritated people with an ounce of confidence was appreciated by people. After I came to the US 5 years ago, I found out about Toastmasters, and it gave wings to my passion for public speaking, followed by a lot of claps after every speech I gave. Do you believe in everything happens for a reason? If my voice were different, maybe I would have never worked hard on my speech delivery, and would never be and to hear my voice. Those comments don't bother me anymore because I have embraced my uniqueness. What I perceived as a weakness was a mere self-doubt, and in reality is a gift. I have one takeaway for you today. Nobody is perfect. We all have our strengths and our challenges to overcome. What matters is our attitude. Do we give up or do we try? If today you're thinking, why? Why me? Why am I having to go through heartbreak over and over again? Why is it that my boss hates me so much? Whatever it is that is bothering you today, know that it is happening for a reason. It is happening to make you wait for the right one, to strengthen your character, to reveal to you that you are unique and you are special, and that you deserve so much better than you know. Do you believe in everything happens for a reason? Yes. Thank you.
All right. Great place to freeze the video, by the way. Let's give everyone 5 minutes. 5 minutes of absolute silence. I want you all to take down your notes based on the categories that you are set to evaluate. Requesting Priyansh to please open that slide once more. Yeah, this one, the ballot. Yes, great. Can you zoom out a bit so that it's more visible? Perfect, that should be more than enough. Great. All right, and your time starts now. Two minutes remaining. 15 seconds remaining. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pens down, pens down, pens down. No more writing, no more writing. What you see on that sheet is who you are as an evaluator right now. No more new notes. This sheet, or rather the sheets that each of you have in front of you, are going to be the source of all of your information for the next 30 minutes. Okay? Before I begin and open up the session to the discussion, Priyansh, could you please open up the evaluation contest judging ballot? Before we begin, I just want everyone to go over what an evaluation contest ballot looks like. There are 4 categories. 1, analytical quality. Are you able or were you able to look at a speech and really analyze it into its core, into its depths, or are you only able to look at its surface level? This should be clear. When you provide your deep points, it should make sense to the people listening. Recommendations. Remember when I told you presenting areas of improvement, what the 4th thing is? You have to provide suggestions. There is no point coming on this stage and just telling what went wrong without telling that person how they can do it better according to you. It's very important. This here is summation, the conclusion. You want to end your evaluation on a positive note by summarizing all of your highlights and areas of improvement. A very important thing in an evaluation, though, in the scope of this exercise, we are not going to be practicing the summation. What we are going to be practicing is one of the most important hallmarks of a great evaluation: technique. We haven't signed up to Toastmasters to have someone come here and give us feedback like they are that one manager from office who have no life except to just be critical and shit on you. We are here to be encouraging. It is so important to provide the right spirit when you're providing feedback, because that is what determines whether the speaker is going to listen to you or not. Okay? For the intents of this exercise, imagine I am the speaker who just spoke. You can call me, I believe her name was what? Hussein, was it? Can we go and check if her name is provided in the video? Alright. Ishran. I am Ishran. You can call me Ish. Okay? And every point that you state when I call your name, you're going to direct it at me. Pretend I am that woman and I want you to deliver it with the right manner. Be motivational, be sympathetic, be sensitive. Clear? Alright. Now let's go back to the first evaluation sheet, the ISC. And let's start with the people who were assigned speech development. I'm not going to call names, but if you have any highlight or if you have any area of improvement, you can just stand up and present it. And I'll be standing right here. Yes, Saij.
Okay.
For the benefit of this exercise, you're going to be evaluating on speech development?
Yes.
Just not these two, just speech development.
Okay.
Okay. Let's keep your point within 45 seconds.
Okay. So in terms of speech development, the good point is that you had a opening, you had a body, and there is a flow within that body where you talked about the song, and then about your speeches, and then there was a conclusion to it. However, one feedback I do have is the opening seemed to be too long. I struggled to find out where the purpose of the speech is going to start, because you started off talking about your school and having split personality, but the whole point was about your voice. So I struggled to find I felt that the opening was too long.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Let's hear it for Sayuj. Let's tear that up a bit. By the way, going forward, everyone just stick to either a highlight or an area of improvement. It looks like you squeezed in both, so you rushed through it. But it's fine. Let's dissect Sayuj's point. Who are the people assigned speech development in the 3 other groups? Can I request the people who are assigned speech development to stand up? who were assigned speech development. Now, Syed said that he didn't understand, and I quote, what the split personality disorder had to do with the speech. Does anyone have any thought of that amongst the three of you? What are your thoughts on that? Yes.
I agree that speech disorder, whatever was that, it doesn't add, even I don't know what exactly that means.
Okay.
So for me, it was not relatable and
Okay.
didn't add it to that purpose of speech.
Priyansh. Okay. Okay. So, may I ask either any of you, are either of you, or rather are any of the three of you able to recount what the specific line was? So, we are talking about the split personality line. Can somebody tell me what was the context in which it was used amongst the three of you?
The setting of PTM, parents teacher meeting.
Mm-hmm. And what happened there?
I couldn't able to
Okay.
recall what exactly.
Okay.
It was
You don't
PTM
remember.
And the teacher said that she has split disorder.
Is that what the teacher said?
No, it was said by his mom.
Is that what the mother said? Who said it? Who said that she had a split personality disorder?
No, the speaker is saying to herself that, as if my mother was thinking that I'm having a split personality.
Okay.
My teacher says that I'm a very silent girl,
Huh.
but at home I'm a horrible
Huh.
toddler. I mean, a very spoiled brat.
Huh.
But then at school I'm very
Huh.
soft and very. I
Hmm.
don't speak much.
Hmm.
So my mother was saying that she believes that I'm a
Okay. Okay. Great. Excellent. So you were paying very close attention to that. You got the gist of it absolutely right. As far as I remember, it was the mother who said, does she have split personality disorder? Because at school she was very, very quiet, but at home she was very outspoken, very brash. You could just say outspoken was the word. Now what happened in between the speech? What happened in between? During the classes, there were some issues, she got bullied, and what was that one thing she said? What was that turning point in her speech during her school? Before the 8th grade came, before her confidence was boosted again, what happened in between to her?
At one point of time, the story begins with how after birth.
No. So let's go back to the singing classes. She was part of a band. What did she tell us about the band? And Syed, you can also chime in for this, so you can also stand up. What did she talk about when she was talking about band and specifically her music experience? What did she talk about there? Just raise your hand first between the four of you, raise your hand. Yes.
When she started singing like Sare Gama Pa was the absolute, terrible kind of the point when Pa she sang, and it was not, it was harsh.
It was harsh, okay. What else? What happened as part of her musical journey that caused her to do a certain something? What happened? What was the resolution to that specific story and that specific arc of her story?
She realized that she couldn't sing well. It wasn't a melodious voice that she was getting out when she was trying to sing.
Was it her realization or was it the people around her?
It was the people around her.
Okay. So let's say it was the people around her who maybe pushed her down. Okay. So what did she do as a result? What is the specific line in her speech? There was a specific moment she said, I became dash. What did she become? At one point in the speech, do you remember her saying, I decided to shut up? I decided to become silent? Do you remember that? You don't remember that. Okay. So at a point in her speech, because of the bullying, as far as I watched the speech, because of the bullying, she decided to become to herself. She said she decided to shut up. She decided to become silent because that's what everyone wanted. So we went from an outspoken little girl to a silent girl. Now what happened in the 8th grade? Can anyone amongst the four of you accurately, or at least in some accurate way, recount what happened in 8th grade?
A teacher
Yes.
started preparing, after the assembly they need to give a speech, she started preparing, prepare. And She went on a stage and started with good morning and things like that.
The speeches usually happened after dash. What did it usually happen after? The morning prayer. Good. All right. And what happened now when she did the speech?
She started with like a good bold voice.
Okay. All right. What was the title of that speech?
Cleanliness is next to godliness.
Right. Yes. And after that speech, what happened? Would you consider this part of the story a turning point?
Because she got the applause, and that boosted her confidence.
That boosted her confidence. And what was the thing she said there? It was the start of her confidence, birth of herself, but most importantly, she got her voice back. Correct? So, from my observation of the speech, we went from a little girl who had her voice, was outspoken, to one who lost her voice, to one who got her voice again. Correct? Right? So, if that's the case, if that is my interpretation of the story, then wouldn't you say that the split personality reference had a lot of meaning? Because it indicated to the audience that once upon a time she did not care what people thought about her voice. Isn't it possible? Isn't that one train of thought? Right? So what are we doing with this exercise right here? We're really going into the nitty-gritties of the plot. Right? We're trying to understand, because every word, and you guys can have a seat. First of all, thank you. Thank you so much. Let me preface by saying, to understand the content of a speech in such a short span, I give you all very little time, sometimes is very challenging, right? Even I'm seeing the speech for the first time. But whenever a speaker adds a line, a word, split personality disorder in this case, which for most of the people here, it was a bit of a confusion, right? There's always a purpose, right? So it's very important to analyze that, and when moments like that happen, ask yourself, okay, first, do I have all the information? Was it a lapse from her end, or was it a lapse from our end? Right? Because that's very important. As an evaluator, you can provide opinions and feedback only if you feel you have absorbed all the content of the speech. Right? If you feel you missed a certain part, maybe it is possible you can phrase it in that way as well. So in Sayaj's case, I think you did it the right way. You approached it in the right way by saying you had a mention about the split personality disorder. However, Ishrain or Ish, because of your pace, or maybe it was just me, maybe a lapse of my train of thought, I kind of missed how that tied to the overall speech, right? You could phrase it like that. But the fact of the matter is, in my opinion, I thought it tied really well to the entire speech, right? Something to consider there. Next, let's go to speech development again. This time, actually let's go to effectiveness next. Clear purpose, achievement of purpose, relevance. Can I have either Twinshu, Usha or Priyansh share either one highlight or one area of improvement? Let's start with a highlight. Tell us a highlight with regard to effectiveness. Remember to follow the rule of what the highlight is, example, and why it was a highlight. What was the highlight? Give us an example, and why was it a highlight? Yes, Twinshu. Remember, I'm Ish, so you want to present it to me in a way that is sympathetic, right? Present your feedback nicely.
I was going with effectiveness. Ish, you had a great, clear purpose, and I was able to understand that uniqueness is there, but that adds and something because it has a reason and it adds in our life. When I say this as that you have achieved a clear purpose, I mean you had initially, you mean to say like your voice was harsh, but at the end, how that harsh voice was able to get claps at the end was your major highlight. And in the US, the Toastmasters experience, and you are doing great as an international speech contest speaker. It was what I understood that added to the purpose of the speech, and the uniqueness you had was at the end was, I mean, it helped you
ठीक है, very good. Let's hear it for Tuenshu. Good, good. I felt that the main purpose, somehow you missed a very important line when talking about purpose. So I would like either Priyansh or Usha, you can have a seat, either Priyansh or Usha to rephrase this effectiveness part. If either of you genuinely felt it was effective, tell it in a way that's more specific, more clear. Because analytical ability requires clarity, right? Either of you can give it a go. In case, okay, Usha, all right, let's go. Ish. I'm here.
Yeah, Ish, regarding your speech, regarding your speech, it has a clear purpose. And the way you have narrated the speech right from your kindergarten, the journey from your kindergarten till the journey of you joining Toastmasters, which gave wings to your passion, was very well curated. And it is more relevant as well because most of us have gone through this journey in their life, more or less. So kudos to you on that. However, coming to the areas of...
No, that's okay. Just stick to the highlight. Just the highlight. Is that your highlight?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Usha. I'm surprisingly still missing that one clear-cut line. I'm going to see if Priyansh can nail it. Priyansh, can you give a go at effectiveness? Highlights only, no AOIs. Tell us why it was an effective speech. First of all, do you feel it was effective for you?
Yes.
Okay. Why don't you give it a go?
Hi, Ish. So,
hi.
The purpose of your speech, which you delivered, was narrated very well, where you related your split personality disorder by you going to music classes and then struggling in there, then speech at school. You got the boost of the confidence there, and talking about the voice which you had. So you clearly connected all the stories very well, and in the end, you came and delivered a speech in the Toastmaster where you were getting praised for every speech. So really great work on that.
Good. A solid 3 out of 5, but I am still missing what the message was. What was the message? What was the purpose? I'm going to open this up to the crowd now to tell me if you found it effective, if you found her purpose effective. Phrase it in a way that clearly tells us what the purpose was. Pooja.
Hi, Ish.
Hi.
One highlight that I would like to tell you is your starting the theme of the title of your speech. Everything happens for a reason.
Yes.
And how you lost confidence and on the way you gained confidence. For example, when you said same voices which irritated people, now loved by people. Everything happens for a reason is my highlight that I felt for you.
Excellent. Great. Now we are getting more into the core of what her speech was, which we somehow missed so far. The purpose of her speech was to convey a message. What was the message? Everything happens for a reason. So as an evaluator, if you are talking about effectiveness of a purpose, whether as highlight or area of improvement, it is very important to first tell us what you thought the message or the purpose was. Right? If I had to phrase this point as a highlight, what I would say was, Manjarika, you can be Ish. Ish, I felt you met the purpose and you made your purpose very effective. For instance, in your case, the purpose of your speech was everything happens for a reason. You told us through your story with your coarse voice that when something bad happens to you in life, rather than sitting and mulling over how bad your life is, get the right attitude to make it work in your favor. And you went ahead and made it effective in your public speeches. and your debates and your group discussions, even though you were put down as a child. So from a purpose perspective, I felt your purpose of telling us everything happens for a reason was clear to me, right? Very important to make that message very clear, right? So that even the speaker who's listening to you knows, okay, you got the essence of that speech, right? So keep track of, yes. Here we are talking about effectiveness, right? When you're talking about effectiveness, you're talking about the efficacy of a purpose. If you're going to convince or tell the evaluator, a speaker, or the audience that a speech was effective, you have to tell us why you felt it was effective, right? Summarizing the entire speech, again, it depends. For me, I took the one part of the speech which I felt made the most impact for me. The fact that she got into public speeches and group discussions and debates despite being put down as a child, right? I wouldn't say that necessarily summarizes the entire speech, but it summarizes the aspects of the speech that made me feel that it lent to her purpose, which was to tell us that everything happens for a reason. Simple as that. Okay? Speech value. So now let's get into speech value. Does anyone have any highlight or any area of improvement in terms of speech value amongst the people assigned this category? So again, it can be Priyanshu sir, and I believe Srinath, you're also there. Srinath, why don't you give it a go? Give us one. Do you want to give a highlight or area of improvement? Okay, sure.
So the area of highlight will be the conclusion part. Now, where you have given one example saying that if something bad is happened to you, so that might be to check your strength. So this really leave a thought with the audience to believe in the line that everything happened for a reason.
Okay, all right, thank you. Good. You essentially told us that, listen, Ish, you told us this story. As an audience, it made me believe. Could you have been more specific? Could you have maybe told, listen, Ish, when you spoke about your story about your bad boys, and let's face it, when these kind of stories are done and when these speeches are done, aren't we all thinking of something similar that's happened to us? Something? I know I was thinking about my school stories there. Would it have been better for you to mention that so as to show the value, right? What if you rephrase your point by saying, Ish, when you told us your story about your course wise eventually being used to your benefit, it made me think about my public speaking journey in my corporate, where I was put down a lot, but listening to you, I got hope, and now I want to become a member of Toastmasters even more. Can you present it in a way where even the speaker can see the value and where even the audience can see the value, as opposed to simply saying, Ish, your speech had value and because it had this and this. How can you make it meatier, more impactful? That is very important, right? Can we give it a go? If someone genuinely felt, and let's open this to everyone. If someone wanted to praise the speech value here, can you phrase it within 45 seconds? And imagine I'm Ish. Anyone wants to stand up, they can go ahead and do this. Teju, give it a try. Hi.
It felt too emotional, whenever you told your story about being too talkative as a child and being silent in a school. It felt too relatable to me. Actually, I was, as a child, I was too silent and I wanted to improve. It gave me more confidence to get into a Toastmasters and develop my skills.
Good. Pretty much the same as Srinath's, but you had a small difference which made a big difference. You said, as a child, I felt the same way. Now suddenly I'm seeing that there is some real value in you as well, and you're presenting it not just to the audience, to the speaker as well. I'll open it up further. Elango, do you want to give it a try? Tripti, you'll be next. Speech value, highlight within 45 seconds. How would you phrase it?
Hi, Rish. As your speech is, it is more perfectly, it's matching, like it's creating same kind of the what is that the depression, what is that the low point of that just like self-esteem when it is coming to you struggle with some health issue, it will be your voice is lost, you put it two pipes inside, and after that you slowly recovered, and in school also, so everything started hating your voice. It's a hard voice, but you are trying to, when your mother put you into that what is that singing class, that it is not perfectly matching with your voice, your self-esteem also. Later, when it is coming to the 8th standard, that time they given that speech speech opportunity which you took back well, even you didn't remember when you started opening your mouth as a good morning or this sound, that time everyone started applauding. That applause will carry through that speech, and in the end of the speech you said good evening, then sorry, thank you, then you felt more like you rebirth yourself, and you own that voice, you be more proud on that. So this entire the story is carrying the more value, exactly perfectly matching. Everything's happening reason for that. Also, you have the idea of that speech is like 3 times you ask each and every point of that everything happening for the reason that everyone can correlate, like they can what is it, recollect whatever things is happening, it is related to that purpose or not. This is perfectly matching.
Okay.
An organization of thought.
We'll pause at that. Yes. All right. Thank you, Alango. Good, because what I was clear with is that you're clear with the plot of the story, but it was a little too elaborate for the scope of an evaluation. I felt that at some point your actual praise for the value took backseat, and it became more of you talking about the speech at that point. I would have liked to hear more focus on why it was valuable for you. What specific moment made you think, and like he said, right, did it make you think about something in your school or college? Shriti, why don't you give it a go? Again, 45 seconds, please try not to exceed the time, yeah?
Hi, Ish. Today, your speech made me think about my own flaws and how I can, instead of looking at those as flaws, can convert those to be my strength. Particularly your voice. You spoke about your voice, how as a child you, people around you were irritated because of your voice, but eventually you worked upon it and it became your strength. It made me think about what are the things that I am not, I consider in my life as flaws, and how can I use those as means to work upon that, change the perception towards them, and potentially convert those into something that I can be proud of.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Definitely more succinct. You covered your aspect and how it inspired you. Room to be even more succinct when it's, remember, when it comes to a speech evaluation, you have max, 30, 35 seconds for each point. So even before you come to the stage, ask yourself, what is the quickest way you can pull your point across, right? Ish, I felt today your speech had a lot of value. You told us a story about how you went from a person who worried about her voice to someone who embraced it through your journeys at school. It made me think about how I can start to embrace some things about me as well, which I don't like. For example, now listening to your speech, I'm more convinced that I can go to the gym more often, even though my genetics are skinny. Through your speech, you told us that anyone can change their circumstances because everything happens for a reason, right? Again, how can you find ways to keep your points very succinct and add on to the rest of your evaluation as well? That's very important, all right? I'm cognizant of time. We will break in about 7 minutes. So let's have people who took delivery stand up. Delivery. Who are all the folks who took delivery? How many of you have at least one highlight for delivery? All of you have one highlight? Okay, great. So 45 seconds per person. Why don't we start with Madhur? And I'm Ish. Direct it at me.
Hey Ish. Hi. Today we saw a great usage of stage movement. I remember you occupied the left part of the stage while you were delivering the speech about childhood. Then you moved to the right part when you shared the story about your grown-up stories. As an audience, I was able to bifurcate the transitions in your stories, which was really helpful. So this is one of the highlights from the physical, how do I say, the vertical where I have to judge.
Great, great, lovely. I think you were able to recreate it with almost 80% accuracy. There was the left, there was the right. You may have missed the middle where there were certain aspects of the story which were covered. So if you're going to cover left and right, might as well add the point about the middle as well, because it illustrates to the speaker and the audience that you were really watching intently. But great point. I also agree that his stage usage was good. Yes, Teju.
Ish, I really liked how you used the stage everywhere, like from left to right. And also I really liked how you did the hand gestures and your expressions based on your speech content. So it was too.
Okay. All right. What was missing over there? Example. Can somebody give me an example? Teju, can you provide an example for good gestures?
Singing lessons, I hated it. Your hand gestures was like appropriate to that.
What did she do? Sorry, what did I do?
Okay. Singing lessons, I hated it. Hated it.
Okay.
So your hand gestures was appropriate to the theme, whatever you were expressing.
Okay. You picked a rather obscure gesture, one that wasn't as notable as, say, others. When she went sa re ga ma pa or silent, there was a part like that where she really went crazy with her gestures. But it appears maybe you forgot about that and instead picked something else much smaller. The one you're talking about didn't really resonate with me. I can't remember if it was a solid gesture. But if you're going to credit someone's gestures, go for the most obvious example which has the audience going, correct. You don't want the audience thinking, when did that happen, right? So keep that in mind. One pro tip for everyone when you're presenting an evaluation, you know your examples land, that when you're saying it, you're seeing audience members go, That's how I like to judge the effectiveness of an evaluation. If I can see people nodding at my examples, then I know I've picked the right ones. And there's always the right and more appropriate examples to pick, especially for gestures. Okay? Mani, do you want to give it a go? Hi.
Everything happens for a reason, and same today. I, being part of this in this room, I could able to see and visualize in your space when you really felt the difficulty of raising your voice. So, in the singing classes, Sari ga ma pa. So I could able to really feel that, due to which I stopped going to the classes of singing because people may judge me. But you gave that all the physical gestures along with that, enjoying to your story of got the wings, where that made you more passionate and more confident. So these are the two gestures where I felt more confident to the content.
Awesome, awesome. First of all, more than anything, did you see the manner with which Mani delivered it? Big smile, very happy. I didn't just get a good evaluation. If I wish I'd give you my number or something and just come and talk to you after that. Because he was so encouraging, and this is something even I have to learn from. We always talk about how Mani has one of the best manners when it comes to evaluation. So great point there. I don't remember the wings thing. Maybe it is just me. I don't quite remember if she actually did a gesture like that. She did? Okay, so then that's probably my lapse, in which case, great. You also picked the right one here. I don't know if it's because I did it right now. But overall, your demonstration was well done, and you've written it down. So great job. Great job, Mani. Manjarika, why don't you go next?
Hi, Ish. I felt you displayed extremely beautiful body language. You carried the entire speech with open hand gestures, and you even gave more exaggerated good hand gestures when you said that very moment was the birth of my confidence. And you also said that Toastmasters gave me wings to my confidence. That was really great body language. And you had a great voice modulation when you said, all right, I sound horrible, I will shut up. I lost my confidence. That dialogue you expressed your frustration and then your sadness when you what you felt when you lost the confidence. So that was really great voice modulation, and also throughout the speech you sounded very assured and confident because you while you were sharing your own personal experiences.
All right, awesome. I like the point you added about voice. That is actually a very great pertinent point about how she yelled the shut up, right? And it definitely added to make her speech more credible. And one thing to notice here, you also talked about the wings, but more particularly you talked about, what is that gesture you just did?
She said like that as a birth of my confidence. She said like
Birth of her confidence, right? Now, I don't quite remember this, but she delivered it with so much confidence. As an evaluator, I didn't even question myself, right? And that's an important thing. Mani, when you said wings, even though it actually did happen, there was a bit of hesitation, right? You didn't seem very confident with the way you did it. She did it very nicely. So as an audience, it seemed like her point was a lot more valid, even though both of you were actually accurately depicting the speech, right? So very important, when you're recreating gestures, do it in a way that's confident, so that the audience knows, okay, theek hai, this person was listening. So very well done. The last point, it didn't feel like you padded it up enough, the manner bit, but that's fine. I think physical and voice is good. Let's hear it for all four of our folks. And let's close this section with the appropriateness and correctness, folks. If appropriateness and correctness can all stand up from their seats. Appropriateness and correctness. Yes. So we can start. Do all of you have at least one highlight? One highlight, right? But we already did highlight. So why don't we do the opposite? Why don't we go with area of improvement? Do all of you have at least one area of improvement for appropriateness or correctness? Anyone has? Do you have an area of improvement? Okay, go ahead, tell us.
Yeah, in correctness, I have an area of improvement in word selection, which is I give her points of 9, where more words can be added while describing her speech in the classroom. Then which her start was good, but in the body she can add more words describing what she spoke. And our close was also good.
Lovely. Great point. Great point. Actually made me think. You actually addressed one of what I felt was the weaknesses of her speech, was that the actual speech which redeemed her didn't have much detail to it, and you phrased it very well. What if she could have added some words to describe that speech? Very nicely done. Very nicely done. AOI or highlight? Highlight or area of improvement? Okay, we'll do it. Let's start with area of improvement.
Area of improvement, what I felt at some point when you were speaking, some words were very fast. It looks like that words got mixed up while speaking. And second, like when a person commented on your YouTube, so that was who it should be like who has commented rather than that has commented.
Okay, all right. The second one, I don't recall there being any grammatical error. The first one, can you give an example of where you felt she spoke so fast that?
In between, I don't have an example because the words were little bit fast for
me. Do you remember any particular section at least? What did you feel you missed out on?
I missed out on specific words when she was giving the example. So,
what example?
I'm not.
So that's not enough, right? Because as an evaluator, you have to be able to even if you've missed something, tell us at what ballpark estimate. Because that happens a lot. As evaluators, we can't take note of everything, and maybe we weren't able to pay attention. But unless and until you're able to tell us specifically, the speaker won't be convinced, even the audience is not convinced, right? So always make sure when you've missed parts, remember at least what was the preceding sentence. You could say something along the lines of, Ish, after your 8th grade story, you mentioned about your 9th grade story, but I kind of missed it because your pace was a little fast. At least this will let us know what you have missed, right? So something to consider there. Akash, do you have a highlight or an area of improvement? Neither. Highlight. Okay, yes.
You mentioned during childhood, everybody negatively commented on your voice, and when you're 14 years old, you gave your first speech at Toastmasters, and after that, you practiced on it, and people started loving your voice. I can connect to it, and I felt same after my first speech as well. And coming to the another highlight, you connected back to where you started with the quote, like you mentioned. Do you believe in everything happens for a reason? So that I can connect.
Okay, all right. I could see traces of your highlight tying to appropriateness, to speech purpose, to audience. Fair enough, fair enough. I would have liked to hear something about the correctness as well, but I think overall, good. You mentioned about how you related. No problem there. Tripti, do you have a highlight or an area of improvement?
Not an area of improvement, but a suggestion.
Okay,
a minor
sure,
suggestion. Suggestion?
Yeah.
Okay. Ish, while your entire speech was very, very descriptive, you spoke about, with acute enthusiasm, how you were in school, to the down point in your story arc, and then rising from it. I feel there were sentences where you could have added a little more depth for the audience to feel even more emotion. For example, when you said, as a 14-year-old, I decided to do da 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 da. If I were you, I could have perhaps gone with all the enthusiasm a 14-year-old could gather. I went on to excitedly do that particular speech. Like just a little bit of integration of the more enthusiastic words would have taken the emotions on a higher level. Just a minor suggestion.
Okay. Fair enough. Definitely minor. I'm not convinced as a speaker and as an audience how that would make the speech better. Would it make the speech a little different? Yes, but definitely room to make that. For instance, how he mentioned how the words, where it would be used in the speech, particularly could be used more descriptive words. I was more sold with that. So definitely room to see how you can make that point more convincing. I wasn't fully convinced, but maybe it's just me. All right. All right, let's hear it. A round of applause for everyone. Have a seat. Have a seat. All right. How did you all like that exercise? Was it good? Was it productive? More importantly, did it make you think about evaluations as a whole, right? How every word matters, how every sentence matters, how there are so many criterias on which a speech can be evaluated, okay? We're going to go for a break, but what I want everyone to do is write your name on the top right corner of your sheet. Just write down your name, okay? It's there. Okay. Write down your name, and what I want you all to do is give your sheet to any person in the room, and you take their sheet and make this a point of conversation during the break with that person about the notes that they have taken. And the reason we are doing this is to stress on one of the final and most important aspects of an evaluation, which is sheet organization. Okay? So give your sheet to the other person, have a chat with that specific person. I will give mine to Priyansh. Priyansh, where is your sheet? Give it to me. So everyone swap, just give it to any one person who you're going to most likely be hanging out with in the break. And on that note, I will call for the break, which is going to be roughly 15 minutes. Let's all break for a break. Thank you. All right, hope everyone had a lovely break and hope everyone good Christmas. I feel high, that cake. So much rum in it. Okay, so I hope everyone had the chance to kind of not just look at your sheet, look at other sheets, because as I mentioned, it's very good. It's very rather important to assemble your notes in the right way. So if anyone wants to know, I'll also go over my evaluation sheet probably after the meeting. But for now, I'll just, maybe Sai, you can just keep it there. Okay. All right, now we are going to get into the table topics section. It's just going to be a table topics marathon, right? So, Priyansh, we're actually waiting for our Sergeant at Arms as well. While we are doing that, let's see if we can kill the time using our. Oh, there's Priyansh, she's coming. Priyansh, could you open up the table topics slide? Table topics. Perfect, thank you. Just zoom it out so that everything is visible, all the 5 judging criteria. 5 or 6? Let's see. Yeah, 6. Perfect, that's enough. I'm requesting everyone to please open their phones again and take a look at the table topics contest, judges guide and ballot. क्या हुआ? I want you all to go through this form and understand the different criteria on which a table topic is evaluated at the contest level. Use this as a reference for what is to come, which is the table topics section. Similar to a international speech contest, table topics also has a heavy focus on content. So a lot of the things which applies to an ISC applies to a table topics as well, which is speech development and effectiveness. Physical, voice also, again similar to the table topics, rather ISC, right? But what is the most important thing for any table topics attempt is the achievement of purpose. Achievement of purpose and appropriateness to speech purpose. In table topics lingo, that translates to, did you answer the question that was asked to you, or did you make up a whole new story on something nobody asked you? One of the most important and fundamental aspects of an excellent table topics is, were you able to address the topic given to you directly without changing the topic? So the first thing is, always make sure that the topic is clear in your head, right? In a traditional contest setting, which we are all actually training for right now, the table topics master is going to tell you the topic 2 times. Make sure to listen very carefully during those 2 times and try not to be that contestant who says, can you tell me one more time? Okay? Make sure you listen to the topic very clearly those 2 times. All right? Okay, for those who just joined, we are looking at the table topics contest, judges guide and ballot. Yeah, sure. Can you zoom in the 6 categories here, Priyansh? Just take a moment to read through all 6. Okay, so now let's begin the table topics section. The one thing I want you all to keep in mind when delivering a table topic, it is the simplest piece of advice that anyone can give for a table topic. It's called the Oreo method. How many of you have heard the Oreo method before? Can you raise your hands? about 6 of you. So let me reiterate what the OREO method is. OREO stands for opinion, reason, example, opinion. When you are presented a table topic, start by voicing your opinion, your stance on the topic. Give us the reason behind your opinion. Give us an example which reinforces your opinion and your reason, and end with your opinion again. Okay? So to demonstrate, let me give this a try. I want anyone here to give me a topic. Just make sure to read it out 2 times for me, and then I will go ahead and deliver the table topics by following the OREO method. Any topic. Just raise your hands if you have a topic. Yes, sure.
If you could give 1 day of holiday in a year, when you would give and what would be the purpose of it? It could be your own holiday. Shall I repeat once?
Oh, could we have somebody time this 1 to 2 minutes? Fellow Toastmasters and dear guests, holidays are a wonderful concept. Holidays are designed to allow each and every one of us to unwind, whether it's Diwali or whether it's the ongoing Christmas season. We use holidays as an avenue to recharge. But if I had to give one holiday on 1 day of a year, which day would that be and why? It's simple. I would declare January 1st as a global holiday across all corporations around the world, because the first day of the year is the most important day of the year. It is that time of the year when people are contemplating on their life goals, on what is the year to come, and on what they can do better. Now, would I want to be in a company that doesn't give a holiday on Jan 1st? It doesn't matter, because I am in a company that doesn't give a holiday on Jan 1st. But the reason why I endorse for a holiday on the Jan 1st of any year is it gives every single person the avenue to think about what goals they want to achieve. For instance, I spend Jan 1st on a vacation day every year to contemplate on all the books that I'm about to read, on all the Toastmasters goals I am about to achieve, and on all the places that I wish to travel to in that year. And that leave, it helps me a lot. So, if I were to give one holiday on 1 day, it would be Jan 1st, because trust me, nothing sets your year straight than 24 uninterrupted hours to have all of you prioritize the year ahead. Toastmaster. So to break it down, what was my opinion? My opinion was I wanted a holiday on January 1st. Oh, what was my reason? I want a holiday on Jan 1st because it's the first day of the year and it's a good time for people to prioritize their goals. R. E. Example. I spoke about how I take a leave every Jan 1st to do what? To prioritize my goals, my reading goals, my Toastmasters goals, my travel goals. E. Example. And finally, how did I end? O again, by reiterating what my opinion and reason was. So when you have this framework, it really helps fit into any topic. Okay? So on that note, let's open up the table topics section, and as an extension of the evaluation section, everyone please hold on to your sheets. With every table topics performer that comes on this stage, I want you to take down notes and evaluate the speaker based on all the 8 criterias, and in this case the 6 criterias we have learned about. Evaluate it on speech development, effectiveness, physical voice, appropriateness and correctness, and ensure that you get some evaluation training as well during this section. Okay? With that, let's start by calling the first person on stage, which is Pooja Barak. Can you come on stage? Let's hear it for Pooja. Toastmaster Pooja, what is a small habit that has made a big difference in your life? What is a small habit that has made a big difference in your life, Toastmaster Pooja?
Good evening, Toastmasters. One habit is initiating physical exercise in my life. After pregnancy, I underwent a lot of emotional, physical stress, postpartum, as we call it. And I realized that I was struggling with myself. It was me against myself. It took me a lot of time, not months, not years. It took me almost 3 to 4 years to come out of that phase and be myself. What you see me today has taken a lot of efforts. Now, what efforts I have done? Recently, I started waking up at 5 o'clock. I started going for a walk or gym. I have inculcated reading habits, be it case laws or some articles somewhere. I have inculcated spending some quality time with my family. And the best part of my life has started when I joined Toastmasters. That is when I got the confidence to be here and feel myself. Well, one change that is brought in, if I have to summarize, it is the Sundays evening which I love to spend with my extended family, dear Toastmasters. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's hear it for Pooja once more. Pooja Barak, that was a good speech. You spoke about postpartum depression. You spoke about the slew of activities that you introduced and inculcated in your life, notably waking up at 5 a.m. And in your words, recently you started waking up at 5 a.m. Recently you have started reading more often. Recently you have started going to the gym. You're spending more quality time with the family. And you ended by talking about Toastmasters, which is always great because that always sends the crowd home happy. As a suggestion, you did start by saying that the one small habit that changed your life was initiating physical exercise. What I was expecting was more along physical related activities. Maybe talking about your gym routine, maybe going into more detail about the length of your walks, how often do you do it, the strenuousness of the walks, are they very fast, slow? Because that's how you started, but as you progressed, it felt like it was about a lot of things. And you did end on a very general note, because since the topic was what is the one small habit that changed your life, again, it's good to end on the opinion. I always recommend in a table topic, end by reiterating the opinion by saying something along the lines of, hence, the one small habit I like to use in life that has changed my life is physical exercise. Or the one small habit is so and so, thank you. Always make sure to end with the O, because it keeps your thought process clear and makes it clear for the audience as well. So overall, great content, but definitely room to be more focused on the topic. Okay. Let's have a second person on stage. Give it up for Teju, Raju, Shaju. Let's hear it. Let's go. Teju. 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 By the way, Shaju is not in his name. It's only Teju Raju. Toastmaster Teju. If you could instantly learn one new skill, what would it be and why? If you could instantly learn one new skill, what would it be and why? Toastmaster Teju.
Okay. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and dear guests.
Good evening.
Okay. If I could learn one skill instantly, that would be like a ramp walk, actually. So, why I believe this ramp walk would be I would instantly do it because I believe that I have a practice in running and going to gym and all. So this walk would be not difficult for me. I could walk and come back. And I don't think it will be taking too long time for everybody. It would be very easy. And this is why I think it would take very less time for me.
All right. Let's hear it for Teju once more. All right. Teju, a very good and interesting attempt because of all the possible answers I could have expected. I never in my life thought I would hear ramp walk. So right off the bat, you generally and definitely got my interest. You went on to talk about how you're someone who's proficient in running and gymming, and hence, in your words, you said that ramp walk is something that will come easy to you. My recommendation is when there's a topic like this which encourages you to take up like a new skill, go for something that's challenging, right? Because if, for instance, in your own words, if ramp walk is something that's so easy, then maybe pick something else, something which is completely out of your comfort zone. Or, alternatively, maybe you could tell us what your challenges with ramp walking are. Maybe it is physically easy to do, but mentally you have that block, right? Maybe there's a certain mental block you're looking to overcome with ramp walking. But most importantly, why do you want to ramp walk? I know what the benefits of gymming are. I know what the benefits of running are. What are those tangible reasons for starting to ramp walk professionally that will benefit your life? So you can elaborate on that a bit more. Then it'll make the audience more clear on why you want to do it. So definitely the right thought process in picking something as left field as ramp walk, see how you can justify it more, would be my suggestion for you. And also volume, increase your volume, keep it nice and loud, definitely room to be more confident as well. But overall, good speech. Let's hear it for Teju. All right. Can we now have on stage Toastmaster Madhur? Madhur, 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 Madhur. From this section onwards, things are going to change because as soon as Madhur's speech is done, I will randomly call someone to evaluate the speech in under 2 minutes. So, keep your notes ready. Toastmaster Madhur, what is a book, movie or show you often recommend to others? What is a book, movie or show you often recommend to others? Toastmaster Madhur.
A movie series that I recommend to anyone is Silicon Valley. I saw this series when I was in my college, and I got hooked to how the things are working technically in Silicon Valley. I was impressed how we have a buzzword startup has already started to touch the changes that we are having on Earth, which also impacted India. Why I think is important to watch this series is because not only you learn the technical aspect, but also a fire in a youngster to do something that can impact whole world. And coming on to the characters, I really like the acting, and this series has got multiple awards, so it caught my eyes, and I recommend to many of my friends, and they also find it very interesting, especially when they are aimed to be a software developer. So in this way, I learned to have a technical aspect from this series, and very good acting, and of course my entertainment. In this way, this is the one series that I will recommend to anyone to watch to have a most engaging time. Thank you, Toastmaster.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Let's hear from Madhur once more. All right, to evaluate Toastmaster Madhur's speech, can we have Toastmaster Jurmeen to come on the stage? Let's hear it for Jurmeen. Timer, please note the time is 1 to 2 minutes. Jurmeen.
I like the suggestion of you giving the Silicon Valley, because we are in an IT city, we are in a Silicon Valley, and most of us could relate to it because most are in developer or in a technical job. So your suggestion will be taken by many of your friends for sure. And as you have said, that it has recognized and was multiple awards was been given to it. So it's a highly recommended already. And there maybe you could have suggested book also, but that you suggested a series because we are so in a habit of binge watching. So maybe it will give us a stop and give us view to watch something, have a significant impact on our life, and take a halt and have something, pause our time and watch something for a longer time. And with examples also you have given that it has a global impact and how it has reached India as well. And in my opinion, it was a very well structured way you have articulated the table topic, and the suggestions which was been given to you was, I think, is impactful. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Jurmeen. Jurmeen, you are very encouraging with your evaluation as a whole. Overall, love the manner in which you presented it. Madhur as well, I think there was a lot of detail. It's very clear you were very passionate about the show. The details which you go into about, specifically when you talked about how it would motivate youngsters to do something about their lives, I thought that was the high point of your table topic, right? That being said, given that most of the people here are not youngsters, right, and given we are all in those points in our lives where we are probably not even in tech, right, I would always go for maybe a TV show that has a more general appeal, or if you're talking about a very specific technical show like Silicon Valley, put out the general aspects of it as well, which appeals to everyone, even for someone like, say, Tripti, who is not in IT, or other people who are not in IT. What are the aspects of that show which would make them really want to watch it? For example, simple things, humor. The fact that there's a Pakistani actor, Kumail Nanjiani is in it, you know, or something like, I just realized who would be in it, but he's a great actor, by the way. But the point is, can you find those general aspects which really motivates everyone to want to watch it, right? This is one thing you can consider there, okay? And also, Jurmeen, yeah, I think no feedback, major feedback there. Let's call the next table topic speaker. The next table topic speaker is going to be Mani Kumar. Let's hear it from Mani Kumar. Mani. Toastmaster Mani, describe a moment when you had to step outside your comfort zone. Describe a moment when you had to step outside your comfort zone. Toastmaster Mani.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yes. This was one sudden junk feeling which I have got while I was stuck my office desk. My dear audience, welcome to my XYZ office, where Mr. Mani is working with his all passion. That's what he says. But me, as a manager, I feel maybe he's kind of acting smart, that he's more proficient of Alt-Tab. The moment we go into the space, he immediately changes the Alt-Tab, playing from game zone towards the documentation. As a manager, that's what I feel about our employee Mani Kumar. Then I decided to enter into Mani Kumar's life. And I started watching what Mani is doing. Entering into Mani Kumar's life, watching him from day and night by the manager. He wakes up early in the morning, 6:30 a.m., and ensuring that what is required for the day is all sorted by his life. And making sure what to eat, what to make, what to accomplish in the day, all are sorted by our Mani Kumar. What I noticed in our employee Mani Kumar, he is more into the plan of actions in the same monotonous zone, which made him so comfort zone in a way to restrict his own creative thinking and innovative spirit. Then what our Mani has done after giving this feedback is that me as Mani Kumar, getting this feedback from my manager to avoid the monotonous feeling, I started acting in a way to ensure playing all the memory games, creative thinking aspects and the trainings. That's where I moved from my comfort zone into this active of spirit to make my job roles easy. And back to our team.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Mani Kumar. To evaluate Toastmaster Mani, can we have on stage Toastmaster Manjarika? Manju. Oh, hold on.
Good evening, my dear Toastmasters and dear guests.
Good evening.
Today we had the privilege to listen to Toastmaster Mani Kumar's table topic. Mani had a very creative start. You started with an enactment where Mani, the employee, and the manager, who is observing Mani, the employee, were the characters. And Mani also, you enacted how the manager is dissatisfied because Mani looks like he's very productive, but he's actually playing games. And Mani also has a pretty monotonous lifestyle which can be improved in a much better way. So Mani, I felt that your way of presenting the table topic was very creative. You engaged the audience with different characters which you came up with immediately, which was might be difficult to think about immediately. And I loved your enactments as well. One area of improvement I might tell was I couldn't get the conclusion of what you tried to convey in the end. Maybe that could have been more strongly conveyed so that audience can understand it better. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Manjarika. Again, it's not very easy to be suddenly called up on stage to evaluate someone. That being said, I love the credits you gave to Mani for the things that should have been credited. Notably, your creative style in which you decided to approach the speech, wherein you are addressing to Mani in the third person, not in the first person, which I found quite an interesting take to the topic. There were elements of humor as well when you talked about Alt-Tab. I found myself chuckling at least. Great. All of that is great. I felt the creativity came at the expense of clarity. Towards the second half of the speech, I was not very clear on where this was going, and it was possible that this was due to the complicated creative approach you took. Also, because of that creative approach, the actual topic took a backseat, which was, what is that one thing you did to step outside your comfort zone? So my recommendation would be, always great to adopt creative approaches, but it shouldn't come at the expense of addressing the actual topic. There was room to maybe bring in the topic of stepping outside your comfort zone within the 1 minute mark in a more clear-cut way. For example, it was then the manager approached Mani and said, Mani, you need to step out of your comfort zone and come to office earlier, right? You're immediately addressing the topic directly. Now there's no confusion. People know what you're talking about, right? So great creative approach, but definitely see how it doesn't come at the expense of topic clarity, right? So Manjarika, also simple, the point that you stated and the observation was great, but see how you can make the suggestion more helpful for him in very clear, tangible terms. Like how I said right now, maybe you could have started with the comfort zone mentions at around the 1 minute mark. See how you can make your suggestions meaningful to any speaker. Okay? All right, lovely. With that, let's get our next table topic speaker on stage, Toastmaster Usha. Can you have you on stage? Usha, 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 Usha. Hook this up. Let me just get the topic. All right, Toastmaster Usha. What does a perfect weekend look like for you? What does a perfect weekend look like for you, Toastmaster Usha?
Good evening, Toastmasters.
Good evening.
The perfect weekend for me is the one which is more productive in terms of which will actually help me grow. For example, coming to Toastmasters every Sunday is a perfect weekend for me because this adds to my growth. It not only encourages me to develop my communication skills and to overcome the fear of public speaking, but it also gives me the clarity of thought. It gives me the it gives me the knowledge of people, of interacting with people from different aspects of life. So for me, a perfect weekend would be anything that adds to my growth. And here, for today, I would say it is coming to Toastmasters every weekend, which actually helps me in my growth. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Usha. To evaluate Toastmaster Usha, can I have on stage Toastmaster Sangam? Sangam, 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 Sangam.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and dear guests.
Good evening.
So coming on to the evaluation, I really like how you, Usha, I really like how you explained the topic. You did follow the Oreo approach. First, you put your opinion, like what kind of weekend you have, you wanted a productive weekend. Then you give the reason because it will help you to grow. Then you give the example, like it helps you coming to the Toastmasters. It helps you build communication, do networking, get to meet new friends, and gives you a clarity of thoughts. And at the end, you again concluded it that overall this is a fun part for you coming here, and it adds a value to your life. So that's it.
Okay. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Sangam. Usha, from the point of view of the Oreo, I cannot add anything more to what Sangam did. I thought of all the speakers so far, you did a terrific job of clearly outlining your opinion, your reason, and your example, right? Productive weekends are your most satisfying weekends. You talked about Toastmasters and you gave an example about Toastmasters as well. So that is great, right? That being said, the feedback I'm providing is more to enhance. You've got the basics set. So think about how you can now amp up the delivery, right? So my suggestion for you here is along the lines of vocal variety and maybe general enthusiasm. Maybe add a bit of an excerpt about an incident in Toastmasters during a Bright Hearts Toastmasters meeting, or maybe portray the excitement on your face. Ladies and gentlemen, every time I come to Bright Hearts Toastmasters on Saturday, I am so excited for what is to come. And plus, the after parties, especially with Akshay and Mani and all of those crazy people. I don't know why I did it like this, right? But you get what I'm trying to say. Suddenly, with that zeal and energy, which you say you have when you come into Toastmasters, when you outwardly show it, it enhances the speech, right? Again, this is not an area of improvement, just to take what was really good and make it great, right? The fundamentals were all in place. Great job with your evaluation as well, Sangam. Of course, as always, find ways to find at least one small suggestion you can provide to the speaker so that they can be a better speaker the next time. Let's hear it for both Usha and Sangam. Next, can we have on stage Toastmaster Tripti Tripathi? Can you come on stage? Tripti, 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 Tripti. All right. You want hard topic, easy topic, or what do you want?
You decide.
Okay. Wow, this one is tough. I don't know how you're going to do this. All the best. Are you ready?
It's going to be the easiest.
Toastmaster Tripti, describe a time when you surprised yourself. Describe a time when you surprised yourself. Toastmaster Tripti.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
2018, November 14th. That was the day when I became a Toastmaster, an official Toastmaster, after being a guest in HSR for more than 5 weeks. And imagine me like a shy, timid kid who didn't have any confidence and had lots of self-doubt to come up on the stage and be able to face an audience. That was the 3 weeks after that date, I gave my first icebreaker speech. Now those 3 weeks took a lot of efforts in terms of practicing in the background, just constant reassurance from my mentor that, hey, will I be able to do it? My mentor telling me, yes, Tripti, you can do it. And I'm sorry, I'm forgetting what the question was.
Describe a time when you surprised yourself.
Okay, right. So after those 3 weeks, I thought, okay, now I am all ready and I will be able to face the audience. And that's when I gave my 6 minutes icebreaker speech. And I I, in my small own word, would like to believe that I surprised my own self, because that was, to all the Toastmasters sitting in the audience, you all would agree with me that it's hard to come, like look at me perspiring, it's hard to come up on the stage and face the audience and be able to share your story. And I think I did a fair job in surprising myself just by working in the background and by reaching out to my mentor at the right time. And yes, here I am again. I hope you all also do small steps in your own journey, whether it's public speaking or anything else. Those small reassurance from a right person can make you discover some things in your own self that you were never that you never knew about.
Hey, Mike. Thank you so much, Tripti. To evaluate Toastmaster Tripti's speech, can we have on stage Toastmaster Twinshu Parma? Let's hear it for Twinshu. 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 Twinshu.
Tripti, what a hard topic you got today. Time when you surprise yourself. And for me, even I am surprised I got the hardest table topic to evaluate. So you mentioned, you started with the date that was very specific, 2018, when you stepped into first time Toastmasters. You know what to speak at the start. I mean, the first time, it was after 3 weeks, you went on the stage, started the icebreaker, and you reached out to mentors, and that whole story and the structure was good. Till the time when you asked to Akshay what was the topic that actually was. That was good. Did you thought for the first minute what you wanted to speak and with the topic? I'm not sure, but you did a great job. Even when you asked Akshay and Akshay clarified it, you were great in asking to the mentor and that whole story how it flowed. To my understanding, what the conclusion was, like you asked to the mentors and they give you small assurance, and you went to stage for the first time and you did really great. That was the surprise that you had that time. So the small nitpick I have is you could have thought really well for the start of the time, and the structure, how you are going to deliver it, that will give you a better clarity when you are delivering it. Otherwise, that you had a great structure in short, and but the specificity of when you mentioned date, all of us were hooked what happened on that day. That was a great part. And back to Toastmaster Akshay.
Thank you. Twinshu, great job, particularly about the suggestions that you gave to Tripti. They were very pertinent. One of the mistakes people tend to make when they get a table topic is that they start right away, right? You may have noticed even when you presented your topic to me, I took about a good 7 to 9 seconds before I started, because that period of time is very important. The first 5 to 7 seconds after you hear the topic for a second time is when your speech is going to be finalized in your head, at least the bullet points, the O, the R and the E, right? So that being said, Tripti, as he stated, it's good to spend those 5 to 7 seconds really finalizing what your O, R and E are. Otherwise, great. If I may also provide a small nitpick, when you present topics on stage, there are always going to be points where you may have forgotten the topic, this, that, which is fine. Try to pull it off in a way that is smooth, right? Try not to wear failure on your face. Take it from someone like me. I've come on this stage and I've made thousands of mistakes, thousands of times. But the one thing I've learned is to see how I can pull it off in the easiest way, right? For example, I know now in hindsight it looks very easy, but what if when you were talking about Toastmasters, and there I was, I joined Toastmasters, and within 3 weeks I delivered my first speech for which I was assigned a mentor. So Akshay here is also my mentor. Akshay, as my mentor, can you tell me once again what my topic was? That's right. That's right. Right? Very small thing, right? But can you somehow pull off things like that in a way that doesn't make you even more nervous? Is my only recommendation. No need to point at you sweating, this, that, and all. Be confident, right? And it's okay because missteps happen. That's the power of Toastmasters. That's why we are all here. Right? So don't worry about that. Great job, both of you. And with that, I believe we have a couple more people left. Can I have on stage our next table topic speaker, Toastmaster Elango? Elango! 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 Elango, if you could teach a 5-minute class on any topic, what would it be? If you could teach a 5-minute class on any topic, what would it be? Toastmaster Elango.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, my dear guest.
Good evening.
I will believe myself. That's what. I'm going to teach you 5 minutes class now. Most of the people in the world, take the example, 90% of people, they are not believe themselves. In the life, who succeed in the world, very less percentage, which is they believe themselves. Take an example of Sundar Pichai, take the example of Abdul Kalam, take an example of Mahatma Gandhi. Those people believe themselves, they can make changes to the society because they believe themselves. The same things, everyone in yourself, you have to believe what you can change to what you can to the society, what you can give to the society, what you can make yourself. That has to be believe yourself. The beliefness is more powerful things. It is not easy because things will change day by day. It will push you down and all the situation. But when you believe, you can come out of that situation. If you believe, then only it can happen. You have to believe yourself. Come to the conclusion. Believeness is not easy like every time, as I said. But when you are more stronger, believe yourself for everything, that same things you can achieve. That's all myself. So back to
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Elango. To evaluate Toastmaster Elango's table topic speech, can we have on stage Toastmaster Akash? Let's hear it for Akash, everyone. Akash. 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 The best.
Good evening, Toastmasters and dear guests. Today's topic was about if you could give a 5 minutes class to any topic, what would it be? And Elango started with a good energy, and he started speaking about how if we believe in ourselves, and I gave few examples of the people who have achieved, and he said most people couldn't achieve and only few have achieved in life, and he gave examples of Mahatma Gandhi, Sundar Pichai and Abdul Kalam, etc. And he said when you believe in yourself, you can make changes in the society, and you can enlighten people. And he said there are many things that could bring us down, and but if you could believe in yourself, you can achieve your goals. What I took from this was its area of improvement was the topic was about if you could teach a topic for 5 minutes in class. So I thought you would start speaking about any topic you are going to say, but you changed the topic and you gave motivation to others. Like it's one of the subject, I took it in that way, positive way. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Akash. A great evaluation. I think you nailed the feedback right on the head in that, Elango, I also felt that you didn't quite address the topic. One way you could have spun it around is by saying, ladies and gentlemen, if I had to give a 5-minute lesson on any topic, it would be believing in yourself. Now let me give you the 2-minute version. And then everything else would have fit, right? So something to think about there. Also, after you state that you're going to give a lesson in belief, you also have to tell us, why are you giving this, right? So that probably means because you innately believe that you are a very confident person. So definitely room to address the topic more directly, right? That being said, great performance from both of you. Let's hear it once again for both Akash and Elango. I believe we have covered, and is anyone here who didn't get Sayuj? Aside from Sayuj, is there anyone? Priyansh. So 2 people left? Okay. So then in that case, can we have our next topic, table topic, speaker, Toastmaster, Priyansh Tripathi? Why don't you come on stage? Priyansh. 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 All right, Priyansh, if you, here you go. What is one thing you're grateful for today? What is one thing you are grateful for today? Toastmaster Priyansh.
The one thing which I am grateful for today is the evaluation session hosted by Akshay. We have got so many insights. Like I was sitting behind there, I was noting down, and then during the chai break, I exchanged my sheet with Akshay. He gave me a very good feedback on how to write, how to divide the evaluation sheet, and how to approach the evaluations, how to have certain things which I was not aware of, which I was lacking in my evaluation sheets. The way Akshay told me to approach the evaluations, that was something which I think I was lacking, and I got it today. So yes, that's one thing which I was lacking, and I think I got it today, and like helpful, which helped me a lot today.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Priyansh. To evaluate Toastmaster Priyansh, can we have on stage our final evaluator for the day, our presiding officer, Toastmaster Sayuj Verghese. Sayuj. Sayuj.
Thank you, Toastmaster Akshay. Good evening, fellow bright hearts and guests. Toastmaster Priyansh, what are you grateful for? And I completely agree with you, because that is the same feeling that I resonate. And I think everyone in the room also feels resonated with you, right? It was a great session where you've got feedback and you told about the benefits that you're getting from the session. You just not said the session was great, but you spoke about the feedback that you got. You spoke about spending time with Akshay, identifying your areas of improvement, and then you told us about the plan of improving those. So those were the positive points. Now, in terms of the area of improvement, you had a lot of time. You finished your speech in 45 seconds. You definitely had more time. You could have provided more areas of what you felt are improvement. You could also talk about the energy that was there in spite of not many people being there. A little bit filler here and there that could actually extend your speech, yet add a little bit value to the topic itself. So that's how I did. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Sayuj. What happened, Manju? Okay. All right, Sayuj, I think you provided the appropriate feedback. Definitely, Priyansh, in terms of time utilization, you could have slowed down your pace to begin with and maybe expanded on some of the stories, right? So as an area of improvement for you, you told me that, or rather you told us you were appreciative of the session. I would have liked to hear more compliments about me. For example, Akshay looked very handsome today. His hair is nice. Physique is looking yummy. Lot of room for compliments, but you chose to give only one. I don't know. Do I not? I'm just kidding. Great speech. Let's hear it for Priyansh. And with that, I think we have covered mostly everyone. Srinath, I acknowledge we didn't get the time. Did we get you on stage for an evaluation? We got you, right? Evaluation. No. Oh, right, for the first one, yes. But I hope we have covered as many people as possible. Again, I hope today's session was productive for you, right? Because I hope you have kind of learned about the different dimensions of both table topics and evaluations. My only parting tips for you is continue to jot down notes during all meetings, just like how we were jotting down meetings today during the table topics section. Find ways to evaluate, analyze, because that is the only way we can become better speakers. People tend to sleep on the fact that sometimes becoming the best speaker here requires spending a lot of time here, right? A lot of time here makes you a better speaker here. So just remember that. Thank you so much for your time. With that, I hand back control to our presiding officer, Toastmaster Sayuj Varghese. Sayuj! 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 Sayuj!
Thank you, Toastmaster Akshay. And how many of you think he is handsome? See, there you go, Akshay. You've got more compliments. But thank you so much, Akshay, for that wonderful session. I am sure every one of us learned a lot more. I myself have learned what should I look out for and gear myself for the contest. With that, Priyansh, if you could please provide your feedback for the meeting. The link is BHTM Vote 2. Just give a minute for folks to vote. Wait for Okay, just on a couple of quick announcements. Next week, Jan 4th, is our installation for the new XCOM team. So very excited about that. And the week after, on the 11th of Jan, for the new XCOM team members, it's going to be the club officers training program. You would have received the note from Money on that. It's in Siemens from 8 to 2:30. So I'm hoping that all the club officers plus the associates attend the meeting, because that is one more point for us to get to the Smedley award. So with that, I think we'll close the meeting number 62.